Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome Mr. Papian, the top diplomat of Armenia for the last 30 years. Good evening, Armenia. Good evening, Lebanon. I introduce you to the Armenian version of Mr. Sarkis Naum, who is the top journalist in Lebanon. And I am very proud and happy and thrilled. And I'm still drunk from our last interview, Mr. Papian, that I am welcoming one of the top minds of the Armenian foreign policy and diplomacy for the last 30 years. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for kind words.
Thank you. I'm just making compliments. You know, Mr. Papian, when I first met you, I had the wrong impression about you, but it is natural for anyone who is in politics to be skeptical. This is fair and normal. But when I made interviews with you, everything that I heard about you, with my own conviction, I am convinced that it was not an exaggeration. Mr. Papian, a few days ago, Iran launched what is called the super attack on Israel. What do you think? Is this the start of a large escalation or something that will go off after a couple of days?
No, I think this will not grow into bigger war. Even Israel is interested, and especially Netanyahu himself. He wants to have a bigger war because actually what we have from, let's say, a standpoint of Israel, two main enemies, adversaries of Israel, Syria and Iraq, actually are destroyed by West and in favor of Israel. The benefactor is Israel. The main threat for now for Israel is Iran. And what Netanyahu is trying to do, he's trying to ignite a bigger war, to involve West on his side, at least to destroy nuclear stations, laboratories in Iran, because they are concerned that within a couple of years, Iran can have nuclear warheads, and having the missile system, it will be a real danger. So this was the main, let's say, goal of Israel, that it seems it was on the 1st of April that he hit by a missile a consulate in Damascus, an Iranian consulate, and killed 7 or 10 high officials, generals of Basij, the Quds flank of Basij, which is the, let's say, religious military groups and highly respected in Iran. So Iran had no other choice except in a way to respond, but to respond in a way not to give an excuse for a West to launch a big war, which means as less casualties as possible to inflict on Israel. So it has launched over 30 cruise missiles, over 100 ballistic missiles, and over 300 drones. But we know that the majority of them were intercepted in the air of Iraq, Jordan, Syria, and so on. And only a few of these missiles hit Israel ground. One girl of 10 years old is wounded, and some damage was done to air-by station, which means Iran is satisfied because he responded. Nobody can say that he did not answer, and he did his best. And Israel also, as a country, is satisfied because actually no real damages. But except Netanyahu himself. Netanyahu it's another issue. He is interested in a bigger war because of local internal situation, also general. But the country does not want bigger war. And also United States, they do not want a bigger war. this is why Biden phoned to Netanyahu and told that you win, okay, be satisfied and enjoy your victory. This is win-win situation when everybody is satisfied. So I hope that if Netanyahu will not provoke any other issues, Iran will not go on with this situation. They officially announced that they will not go on because Iran and United States are trying to have better relations, especially for the corridor, so-called Indo-European corridor.
Yeah.
But Israel is against of this. So Israel, not only because of security issues, as I mentioned, destroying nuclear capabilities, also they see the Iranian route as a competitor to the route that was signed. It was before October in New Delhi to have this India, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, Haifa, this route, which was actually I think some countries were against of that route. Russia, Turkey, maybe Iran as well. So with the help of Hamas, they killed the chances of that, let's say, the India-Israel road. So Israel also will try to kill the Iranian corridor as well.
Okay, Mr. Papian, there are a lot of opinions. Some of them are mocking and ridiculing Iran. They said that Iran actually what took place was just a theater because they informed and they made it clear that they will attack. Actually, usually on strategic point, someone that wants to attack must keep the element of surprise. Some analysts and some who are opposing Hezbollah and Iran actually for no reasons. They say that all this was a sign of weakness from Iran because they actually announced the time and they will do this and more than above this, they say that all these missiles, most of them did not hit the target. So on a technological level, it was a huge failure for Iran. How do you estimate?
When people say Iran is weaker, it depends. They are compared with whom? If with United States and West, for sure it's weaker. No country can be compared with United States. The expenses of the United States on defense, on military equipment, are higher than the rest 9 countries spending on defense. Yes. It's the Pentagon budget is $860 billion per year, but the combined budget of all other components of defense, including the missile system, atomic missiles, which is the nuclear missile difference, it's $1.4 trillion. It's huge. Huge money, and technologically the Americans are so far ahead, nobody can be compared. So Iran knows that because of, due to many reasons, Israel will be not alone fighting Iran. European Union clearly declared that they will support Israel, and they condemned Iran, not Israel, for that situation. Nobody mentioned the Israeli attack on Iranian consulate, which is a violation of Vienna Convention of Diplomatic Relations and so on. Yeah. The head of American US CENTCOM, Central Command, the same day went to Israel and told that they will totally support Israel. So Iranians do not have a real choice to win the war. They can destroy part of Israel. They can part, but not. It will be not vital, because the vital parts of Israel are under this Iron Dome, and also Americans, they are standing between Israel and Iran. They have their presence in Syria, they have their presence in Iraq, so they will intercept some missiles. And also Iranians know, authorities here, that, okay, they cannot destroy Israel, but they will get so strong backlash against them that it's possible that there will be events on the ground in Iran, and we know that the people are not satisfied of the situation, economic situation, and so on, and it will be change of let's say governing powers in Iran. So nobody wants these changes. Why Iran was waiting so long time from April 1st till April, it was 12th or something, because they were thinking how to respond, not to ignite a bigger, let's say, attack on Iran. I think they did. They quite successfully. You see, they first launched the drones, which means that drones it will take 4 or 5 hours to reach to, at least for 5 hours to reach to Israeli territory. And when drones were close, then they launched the missiles. As you mentioned, the surprise momentum, if really was to inflict damages, first they would send missiles and then the drones. Because with this drone attack, they told them that you will have some 5-4 hours to be prepared, which was done perfectly by Israeli side.
So I am right. So there is a very good point that it was some sort of theater, but let's be more objective. Do you think that if Donald Trump, and I personally accept that Donald Trump will be the next president. I know that Netanyahu had a very good relations with Donald Trump. Donald Trump had this hostile view of Iran. Joe Biden was more moderate. You know that Hillary Clinton struck that deal that would give billions of dollars to Iran. In return, Iran would pause its nuclear tests and operations. Now that Donald Trump came, all this fall apart. Do you think that if Donald Trump, which is what I expect, will become the next president of the White House, do you think that Iran this time has a very huge problem, and the USA might really attack to get rid of this nuclear threat? I personally don't think so. I will tell you in the next question that I don't think it's possible to attack Iran. I will tell you next why. Please go ahead.
You see, Iran is a huge country. 1,648,000 square kilometers. It's one of the biggest countries with mountain regions, with experience of surviving without economic relations with other countries, especially with West, beginning from since 78, 79, at that time. It's not integrated really in the world economic zone. So Iran is a big survivor. They can survive. Also, in Shia Islam, you have this concept of fidai, of self-sacrifice. This is another problem, that people are ready to sacrifice themselves for, I don't know, for some ideas, goals, and so on. If ever there will be a war against Iran, nobody will send foot soldiers there. It will be just missile and air attack on Iran, targeting special places, special targets, because just sending there an army, it's not, you see, Gaza region, which is 364 square kilometers. Just it's a tiny thing compared with this 1,648,000, and even with Gaza, it's a problem. its casualties, and also Western countries are not used to have casualties. For them, a couple of hundred soldiers that are killed, it's big number. For Iran, a couple of thousands is nothing. This is mentalities. I call it very important thing. In West, you have one-child families now, and so families they deal with these losses strongly and against the war. In Iran, you have these big families with many children, and so and there with kind of mentality. So this is, let's say, part of nobody from point of view, military point of view, is not interested. Secondly, we already mentioned in future plans of West, Iran is a partner for as a corridor, because Iranian corridor is more important than destroying Iran, because for United States, the main problem is China, not Iran, not Russia, it's China. And China also cannot be destroyed and attacked. It's another huge problem. The only way to deal with China is to cut supplies, raw material supplies to China, and even more, which is more important, to push out Chinese goods from European and US markets. Because if there will not be markets, it will less money, less technology, less weapon, and so on. So the only possibility to do is to replace China and Chinese goods by Indian goods and production. This is why now we can see the shift of investment policy from China into India. Each quarter, each 3 months, $50 billion investment, American investments, are taken out from China and invested in India. This is hundreds of billions of dollars within these years. So, Iran is a danger for Israel. China is danger for the United States. So Israel is important for the United States, but not as much as United States for themselves. So they will not sacrifice their future for Israel. They will support as much as they can. But when it will come the choice between Israel and United States, they have to prefer United States. So who will become next president? First of all, I'm not sure that it will be Trump. But anyway, Trump will not go into big war against Iran in any case.
He doesn't go to wars anyway.
Yeah.
He doesn't like wars.
And because it's not, the Congress has big influence on foreign policy, especially the Senate, with 2/3 of them, they're deciding the main, let's say, steps in foreign policy. So it's not so easy. But the problem is now that this year, in June or July, there will be elections in European Union, in these 27 countries there. In November, there will be an election in the United States. So the communities, especially Jewish community in the United States, in election year becoming more important than usually, as the Armenian community. Because let's say Armenian community in California, in some places, has a decisive vote. By their votes can be chosen who will be the winner in a state, which party. And you know that according to the system, this college of electors, when you win in a state, all votes, not votes, of these electors are yours. I mean, the votes come to you. This is that my advice to also maybe some American compatriots who are listening, advice to use wisely the possibility of this year, election year, because their votes will become very important for Biden, for Trump, for others. And the main issue that must be asked and discussed and tackled with them, with candidates, is the security and safety of Armenia, including Nagorno-Karabakh, which is part of Armenia. Let's put for a time the other issues, genocide recognition, other case. Now the time is safety and security, because Armenia is under existential threat. We have big losses last year, 2 years before that. We know that Aliyev is waiting to see what will be the outcome of the elections in the United States, European Union, and he is ready always to attack Armenia. And this is very important, the issue of safety. Also, I think that because there were elections in Azerbaijan as well a couple of months ago, and Aliyev did not receive congratulations from European countries, from others, which means that he needs to have this climate change summit in November in Baku to be held, which he will show as a tacit recognition of the elections, of the result of elections. So for him, now it's important to keep low profile, to keep himself as a kind boy, schoolboy, and nothing to do until November, December. But after that, it will depend the whole situation. Who will be the president of the United States? Who will be in power in Armenia? It's very important. And what kind of outcome will be in Russia? Because we see that the war between Russia and Ukraine goes on without not a decisive outcome for any side. Now we have this situation that stalemate situation.
Tell me.
Yeah, and it will depend if West will supply with more weapons and more advanced weapons to Ukraine, Ukraine can win. If not, this can go for many, many months and years. And this will make the situation for Armenia even worse, because we are economically dependent on Russia. Russia till now is the biggest market for Armenian production. Unfortunately, we do not have a real, and we did not create many alternatives for us. And this is, we must be in a hurry to solve all the security problems and also problems of market. And Iran is very important, because if Iran will find a common language with West, the issue of corridor can be implemented, and Armenia will gain a layer of safety and security by the parties who are interested to have this corridor. Also will gain money, have money for transit, also being part of a bigger market. Yeah.
Mr. Papian, since we are talking about the USA elections, I think that you have gave me too many reasons that I think you prefer the Joe Biden. Why? Because first of all, Donald Trump is not an interventionist. He doesn't want to intervene. So he wants to pull out from the international arena. Maybe this is dangerous for Armenia, because it will leave Turkey and Russia to do as they wish without USA intervention. Second of all, as you said, Maybe Joe Biden is better because Joe Biden is prefers he is a favorite to find some kind of settlement and language with Iran. Donald Trump usually doesn't go to wars. He wants to impose his way through sanctions, which are very effective. Do you make a call to the Armenian community in the USA to vote for a democratic candidate? What do you say? I don't know if you want to intervene, but I want to ask you your opinion.
It's up to them to decide. But if I would be, let's say, US citizen, I will prefer Democrats. And I don't know, Biden will go finally through it. But it's also because you see, there is a saying that the United States are the world gendarme. Okay, it seems it's some kind of derogative, but anyway, I think it's positive. When you are a weak country, you need somebody to be gendarme, to keep these hooligans away. Russia, Turkey, maybe Iran, they do not need to see United States as a world gendarme because they are at least regional powers. They can do what they want to do, at least in the region. We can't. And Biden, anyway, he's trying to be involved, United States to be involved in many parts, also in South Caucasus. As you mentioned, with Iran, trying to find some solution. Also, Biden called Netanyahu and told not to escalate the situation. I'm sure if was Trump, there would not be any telephone call to Netanyahu. It's not the case supporting over, but also preventing is very important, because you have to prevent attack Iran on Israel, Israel attack on Iran, I don't know, Azeri attack on Armenia, Turkish attack. So when he says, Trump, America first, it's not the first. It seems only America. He said we do not care about others and so. But generally speaking, in larger scale, America is a world power. He cannot ignore, because if something will happen in Middle East, the prices of oil and gas will grow. It will have a negative impact on American, let's say, economy. Also, if the routes between the big countries will be interrupted by war, by some other reason, also it's not good for world economy. And they are interconnected, all these markets, supplies, and so. Why America is keeping in South China Sea huge navy and preventing a Chinese attack on Taiwan? Because, first of all, there is a corridor going through that sea, which is important, this sea passage. Also, Taiwan is the supplier of main computer chips, which means that and we have seen that the prices went 2 or 3-fold higher of this situation. Also, just with the containers, that China began to using the containers as prefabricating houses and so, and the price of transportation and containers went up. Let's say a couple of years ago, little bit more, to send a 20-foot container from China to Armenia, it was $2,000, the price. Now it's $10,000. $10,000 for one container, because there are no real empty containers and so on. This is problem of market, because containers are full of goods. They cannot send, they cannot sell, and so. The same, I mean, the biggest economies, United States and European, are not interested in a war, because the 19th century mentality that you have to occupy a state, a country, to use the raw materials in that country is outdated. You don't need to occupy a country. You can just buy everything there, which China is doing in Africa. Turkey is trying to do the same thing. America was doing and is doing all these things. I mean, and the prices or the cost of the weapons are so high. We were speaking about the missiles, Iranian missiles, and I mean, counter that anti-missile system missiles and so on. Each of them costs from hundred thousands up to millions and millions of dollars. It's not. It's very costly to fight. So the problem, let's say, with Houthis in Red Sea, yeah, it's not the problem that America cannot destroy them. The problem is that one missile that they are using to destroy a boat, the boat costs $20,000. The missile destroying the boat is over $1 million. This is not logical. The same is with all these kind of wars. So America, it's a fate of America to be world gendarme. It's in their interest to keep more or less stability in the world. For Armenia, it's good, at least for now, until we can rebuild our country and our army to take our safety and security in our hands. Unfortunately, for now, we cannot do alone. Yes.
Mr. Papian, some Armenians, we know that our nation likes to philosophize. Some conspiracy theorists and some political analysts from the middle class and beyond say that the Jewish lobby and Zionism controls America and America, the USA, does whatever Israel wants. I, as a Lebanese, have seen the exact opposite, because I see that whatever Israel wants to do, its boundaries and limits are set only by the master, the chef, the top gendarme of the world police sheriff, the USA, while Israel is the regional sheriff. I have seen that whatever America dictates, Israel must abide. I want you to educate. I'm sorry to use this arrogant word, but it is what it is. I want you to educate the Armenian masses and the public opinion that the whole world, the chief, the top sheriff is the USA, and Israel has a very strong influence in the USA, but it does not control the USA. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Israel and Jewish community has big influence, but the influence is limited in terms of they cannot change the mainstream policy of the United States. Otherwise, if they were controlling, Israel had launched an attack on Iran, and United States would support. Why they are not attacking Iran? Why they are not destroying Iran, Americans? Because it's not the case that Israel they doesn't want to do. No, it's not in interest. We've already spoke about this. It's not in interest of United States. You see, democracy gives the possibility to influence on a policy. Armenians also have their limited, but their influence on foreign policy of the United States. You see, when State Secretary of United States and the Commissioner of European Union met Prime Minister of Armenia, it's influence of also, it's the regional, let's say, importance of Armenia, but it's influence also the community. They know, let's say, Blinken knows as a Democrat that this gesture, this meeting with Armenian officials would be appreciated with Armenian communities. Even they do not speak this, they will appreciate, they do this. This normal. This is democracy, because they're your citizens. You have to respect their wishes, their feelings, their goals, and so on. So, and there is a even bigger and stronger lobbyist group in the United States. Several years ago, I was with Igor Muradian, the famous Igor Muradian in Washington. And we met one Greek origin guy, one of the lobbyists, not this one that will cooperate, the other one.
I wasn't to that.
Yeah, and he told us that I'm surprised that Armenians, who are the first Christian nation, first Christian state, do not use the biggest and strongest community and lobbyist group or in the United States. I said, do you mean Jewish? No, it's the Christian communities in South United States who have organized in an organization as over 40 million members, and
Christian
without
coalition.
their decisions, nobody can become head of the states, the president. When the Jewish community is powerless, cannot do, they go to this right-wing Christian members, and they're saying that we are chosen people and you have to support us.
Yes, I know about
Why
this.
you never go to that group and say we are the first Christian nation, support us? Because if you are afraid that the religious factor will be used against you, it's already is used against you. I mean, in all Islam conventions with participation of Iran, and so they always condemn Armenia with Arabic League, always. Nothing will be changed, but you will receive this big support. I think here the problem is in our Armenian Apostolic Church, because they do not want to have and to see Armenia having close relations with these right-wing Christian groups who are very, very strong in the United States, but there are some religion issues there. And the problem is that Echmiadzin couldn't prevent these guys to come to Armenia. You can see in the streets of Armenia, all these groups are here, which means we are receiving the negative part of that without having the positive side of that. It's just because you cannot forbid now any religious group to come to your country and speak out. We have freedom of speech, we have freedom of faith, so we cannot forbid. This is the case. So Jewish or Israeli community and lobbies are strong, influential, but they are not strongest, first of all. Secondly, no influential group, lobbyist group can change really the essence of the policy. If United States, their understanding is, let's say, during Second World War, they decided that they have to go to war against Nazi regime and the others. So they will do this, regardless who what will be speaking also, because it's in their interests, and they were doing the same. If, let's say, during Cold War, this double containment of policy of against Soviet Union and so on, do you really think that Armenian communities or Jewish communities could change the policy of the United States against Soviet Union? No. Against the Soviet Union was a threat for the United States, and the policy was, in a way, to destroy the country from within, which they did successfully. The same thing, this is what the situation. We have to change, or I will say it this way, we have to use other instruments, non-traditional instruments in a lobbying policy of Armenians in the United States, trying to involve other groups. They do not know too much about Armenians. I mean, not about Armenia, but they know a lot about Armenians. And when I was in Canada just several months ago, and I was in a supermarket and I saw this Ararat. There is a large Ararat, and so with this Turkish face, and so I mean there are some groups even in Canada. The idea is because the country is in a dangerous situation. I mean Armenia, and our near future is not so clear. And we need closer relations with the West. Without their support, we cannot survive. I do not share the ideas that with our heroism and braveness, we can fight the others. No. You are fighting with army, with weapons, with communication systems, and so on. You can, without weapons, you can sacrifice yourself for your country, but our wish is not that people will go and be sacrificed for their country. I mean, our wish is them to live, to make Armenia more prosperous and safe. So we have to use other instruments as well, alongside which we were doing before.
Mr. Papian, I have heard about this group. It is called the Christian Coalition. Yes, they are part of the Republican Party, I think, and they have a huge influence. Yes, Mr. Papian, the National Democratic Axis Alliance, the NDA, has very limited resources. It doesn't have even $1 million. We have large communities in the USA with millions of dollars, and we have the state of the Republic of Armenia who are practically doing nothing, while the NDA is lobbying very efficiently with very limited resources. Why do you think this is the phenomenon? Why isn't the state doing not doing anything? And where is the Armenian community with these all millionaires and billionaires? We have huge billionaires in the USA. Why do you think this is the situation? And what do you want to say to the Armenian diaspora who is listening to us today?
First of all, I think there is a general frustration of Armenia and Armenian policy. I know a lot of people are saying that, we are tired, there is no hope, we're supporting Armenia, Karabakh so many years and nothing. This is frustration which I do not share. We have to fight as far as we can. This is general frustration. Second is misinformation about National Democratic Alliance. First of all, they do not know too much about us. Secondly, they know wrong things, and I am told so many foolish things about our party that I am surprised, and also they want to portray us as, some say that we are Russian projects, some that we are American, some that we are Soros, and so many things. Even they contradict each other.
Let me count you out. Armenians love conspiracy theories, like I said. Please go ahead. This is absurd and ridiculous, but this is why I think.
This is a simple view on the world. People think that an old man sitting in a room with some, I don't know, $10-15 billion, he's governing all the world. Don't really think. There are over 3,000 billionaires in the world, and many of them have over 100 billion. Even they cannot do anything really. We have seen that Zuckerberg,
yeah.
No, Rothschild, Facebook guy, Zuckerberg,
yeah.
Yeah,
Jewish guy.
Yeah, when he is asked to come to Senate and Congress and to answer the questions, he is so polite and so, because the richest guy, even I don't know, Elon Musk, they cannot do anything against the government. I mean, this is thinking that somebody can make a government to do what they want because they have money. I mean, within two changes in a government policy, they will be totally destroyed. Rothschild, the same happened with Rockefeller, Rothschild, and so on. I mean, because the same is in Armenia. How weak will be the state and the government? It's much more stronger than any group or any party. This is another problem, because you see, we have very limited resources, but they have much more. Let's say 2 weeks ago, the government, by a so-called closed decision, they gave $1.9 million to that organization that is using Facebook and social media for government advertisement, promoting the ideas. 1.9 million as an addition. Who knows? I mean, they're just spending in this field millions and millions. They're spending, over 20 million on just so-called public TV and so on. I mean, we, with a very limited resources, some 200,000 per year. Even Dashnakhtitun spends per month much more than we per year. But really, because we know how to use that resources, until now, I was surprised that until now, Armenian community and Armenian state never used a lobbyist group in Washington, because these Haidati Girasenyak, they are not, they are advocacy groups. They are not lobbyist groups with limited possibilities. They were advocating for mainly one idea, genocide recognition, but not a wide spectrum of policy, which we are doing, and doing quite successfully, with this lot of meetings, visits, publications, hopefully some conferences in the near future. We are organizing this one. My advice to our Armenians everywhere is to try to listen and watch us directly, what we are saying, not the others who are retelling what we were saying. Because I myself, I was surprised to see that some guys telling the Papian have said this and that. I never said some things. Or just taking one title over an article, and usually titles are given by journalists themselves. When you give an interview or speak out, you never agree or tell what will be the title. And this is, try to have more real first-hand information about NDA, and then you will make your decisions. I'm not saying that, trying to convince you to be our, let's say, follower or supporter. But when you really will know what we are doing and we are doing, every Armenian, normal Armenian, will support us, because what we are advocating for, doing for, it's totally in the benefit of our people and our homeland.
Mr. Papian, like I said the other time in Armenian, any Armenian who is national, who is patriotic, many Armenians may disagree on many points with the National Democratic Alliance. But if you want to be fair and objective and listen to your conscience, you can never disagree on their political speech, their political slogan. Any national Armenian who wants to be fair with his conscience may never disagree on the political speech and the political project of the NDA. This is to be very fair. I'm not doing propaganda. I am abiding by my conscience. Mr. Papian, as we are moving to the internal affairs of the Armenian Republic, I will start from the last point. You said that the Armenian community in the USA spent billions of dollars just for the recognition of the genocide. Now we hear that the Armenian government is doing the reverse. As I don't want to judge. I am just saying what I am hearing in the press. What is the general idea on the street today that that the government is now doing the contract. How do you evaluate? I want only to receive your feedback. I don't want to interfere.
Armenian government, unfortunately, pursuing the policy to satisfy Turkey and Azerbaijan. Their main idea is, which is baseless, but the main idea is, if there will be no territorial claims, no demands against them, if we will be very, very polite, not speak about genocide, nothing, everything will be okay. We will have peace and prosperity with them, which is baseless, because the policy of our neighbors, Azerbaijan and Turkey, is not based on responding our policy. It's their policy based on their national interests. And their national interest is to destroy Armenia as a state. Maybe to have something that will be called Armenian state, but in reality, it will be an entity totally controlled by Azerbaijan and Turkey. And this is part of that. We know, I was part of that negotiations in the beginning of 19th. I mean, the one issue was Karabakh issue, second, genocide, and third, territorial claims. Genocide issues, okay, Karabakh, they think they solved. Now it's the term of genocide. When they say we need to have the names, the list of all 1.5 million Armenians who were killed or died during genocide, it's a Turkish agenda, because everybody knows that you cannot have the list, everyone. You can have, I mean, the list of Holocaust casualties. No, it's impossible, really. And also, for what? I mean, this is the idea, to have discussion over this. Okay, was it genocide? Was it not? This is Turkish agenda that we're promoting for many, many decades, and now they're successful. Also, the issue of that Nikol Pashinyan is speaking always, that Armenia is 29.8 thousand square kilometers and nothing more. And now he is speaking even less, 29,746, and so on. And Ararat is not Armenian Ararat. I mean, Aragat, I mean, what is within Soviet Armenia? Soviet Armenia is not Armenia. Soviet Armenia is an administrative entity, was an administrative entity within another country. I mean, Armenia was attacked in 1920 by Russians and Turks, was divided between them. One part, the biggest part, went to Turkey, the other part went to Russia, and from this Russian part, they cut two pieces, Nakhichevan and Karabakh. And saying Karabakh is not only Nagorno-Karabakh, the bigger Karabakh. They gave to Azerbaijan and Javakh to Georgia. Our position, National Democratic Alliance, is, okay, when in 1918, the countries, 3 countries in South Caucasus declared their independence, there was overlap of claims, territorial claims. And this is why the big powers, big fours, big 3 asked Woodrow Wilson to make, to define the border between Turkey and Armenia. There was a special commission on decision of the borders, Armenia and Azerbaijan, Armenia and Georgia, and so on. This is our position is the borders must be defined based on international law through International Court of Justice. Let's the countries, post-Soviet countries, apply to International Court of Justice on the issue of title of the territories. You know that the title is the most important thing. It's a legal ownership of the territory. Especially both Azerbaijan and Georgia, they have declared themselves as successor states of the first republics, I mean 1918, 1920, 21, and they officially evaluate the Soviet period as occupation, as a time of colonization, and so on. So if we have the problem with over Nagorno-Karabakh, so let's go to court, and the court will decide the title of which country is over that territory. Because just giving away some parts of even Soviet Armenia to Azerbaijan, we will not make peace. Even if we will sign a peace treaty, it will not guarantee a peace. We know that there was the border between Syria and Turkey, Iraq and Turkey was defined and delimited on the ground. And there was so many treaties between these countries. But the paper did not guarantee the safety of the countries. Both countries, Syria and Iraq, were attacked by Turkey when they saw it's a proper time. The same with Azerbaijan. If we'll not have better borders to have a viable state, the borders based on international law, which are guaranteed, this is the important part, which are guaranteed with big three countries, United States, France, and Russia, as a troika of Minsk group, will not have peace there. This is the way what we see. And with involvement with this troika, the same with economic situation. Russia cannot be, the main economic partner in near future. We see that it can be one of the Armenian markets. Nobody gets that, but we can see that the capacity, the buying capacity of ruble and Russian market is diminishing because of these sanctions against Russia. If the situation in Georgia that we can see these days, there are so many rallies and demonstrations in Tbilisi and around will go on, which means the road from Georgia to Russia will be closed. This is why we need the south road. Armenia, Gyumri, Batumi, that so many times we're speaking during Saakashvili period and nothing was done by us to do. And we can actually push Europeans to make Georgians to build that road. And if the situation with Iran will be improved, this can become one of the main roads. Because if a railway will be built from Gyumri north and then west to Batumi or Poti, Batumi, there is a railroad from it will be 100 kilometers, at least more than 100 kilometers shorter than now we are using. Because now the railroad from Gyumri goes to east to Vanadzor, then goes northeast to Tbilisi, then again turn to west going northwest and then again southwest and so on. I mean, it's doing a huge circle going there. This is that Nikol Pashinyan wasted the time. 6 years. 6 years. It's a big time from 1918. Nothing was done. Hopefully, the people of Armenia and in diaspora, and especially in diaspora as well, will understand that we have to be more
smart,
to say, more efficient and more take part, because it's not the situation that, okay, let's say during Soviet time, Armenians did not have a statehood. It was part of Soviet Union. Many things were forbidden. Many things were not, let's say, in our favor. But at least there was no existential threat. We know that we will live there. Okay, we were becoming step by step Russians in our mentality, in our language, and so on. There was an assimilation, but there was no physical threat to Armenians. But now we have assimilation issue because over 1 million of Armenians left Armenia to other countries. It's even big number than after genocide. After genocide, 600,000 people they survived. I mean, it's now over 1 million Armenians left Armenia. But this is why in many places now you have more Armenians from Armenia than traditional diaspora. All this is, must be, I mean, this is the period that we have to take steps first within Armenia, changing this government, because this government it's not pro-Russian, it's pro-Turkish. It's pro-Turkish, and the agenda is pro-Turkish. And then having with new government, we can take steps improving the situation in all fields.
Mr. Papian, you mentioned something that gave birth to the next question. You mentioned that the diaspora Armenians need to be much more involved. As I understand, by constitution, you are not allowed to be elected because you carry dual citizenship. We have very great minds in Armenia who are, as they say, repats, arenatards, like Mr. Gerard Sefilian, like you, and we have great minds in the diaspora like Mr. Harut Sasunian, General Narek Abramian, and many more. I'm just mentioning those that I know. I'm sure that there are a lot more. I know that by constitution, the repat Armenians who carry the Armenian citizenship, who carry the Armenian passport, only have the right to elect, but cannot be elected. What do you think? Is there some plan by the political, and why is it that the political parties in Armenia are not raising this issue? Does the NDA? I'm asking a Veratsagan question. I don't want you to give me official stance. I'm just asking my own principle. We are just talking.
And they have spoken on this issue, and we are clear of this. That regardless, is a person. I mean, he is carrying two passports or one. He is Armenian citizen, and you cannot, because he has a second or third passport, deny his right to be elected. Because in this situation, you have two levels of citizens. They are citizens, but they are less citizens. This is unacceptable. I do not say that every diaspora Armenian can be elected. I am saying Armenians, diaspora or non-diaspora, who have Armenian citizenship. And all citizens must be equal, regardless what kind of passports or background they have. It's clear for us. Because let's say, if we want to include in our list of candidates as a member of our party or as a supporter, some guy from the United States, from Lebanon, somewhere, we can't do this. And no, this is not issue becoming minister or becoming even member of parliament. No, we can't even include in a list. And this is violation of human rights, violation of Armenian constitution. Secondly, we think that all citizens, Armenian citizens, will have not only the right, but if they fulfill some terms, I will explain what kind of terms, they will have the right to elect, to vote. What will be the terms? Because some people say, okay, we pay taxes in Armenia, we are conscripted to Armenian army, and we can vote. Why a guy who does not pay any penny to Armenia must have the right to choose who will be the next president or prime minister in Armenia? And our approach is that each year we can calculate and announce that, let's say in 2023, a physical person, it's called İrav Banakan Ans, a person in Armenia, in average, paid, let's say, $500 as taxes. Next year, $400. So between one and the second elections, 500, 300, I don't know, outcome will be some $3,000-4,000. If he wants to have the right to vote, because rights and duties come together, he pays the same amount of taxes and becoming, let's say, a member of that, let's say, club with the right of election. Because if you are a member of a club or a company, and this has some payments of fees, and you do not pay your fees, you do not have the right to use the advantages of that group of people. But this must be not on. This is, let's say, the fees, the fulfillment of the financial obligations toward the statehood.
Yes.
But this very important. It will become with electronic elections as well. This is, we have to have not only elections in traditional way, voting system that you go and put that piece of paper envelope there, online elections. Because otherwise, okay, I'm paying money, I'm somewhere in Florida, somewhere in California, and if you will tell me that you have to drive hundreds of kilometers to go to Armenian consulate or Armenian embassy to vote, I will not do this. But if I will know, this is online things, you pay online, let's say, becoming member of something, I'm paying a lot of money to use some libraries, paid libraries, the same thing. You pay money, you get your password just before the election. You can vote once. It's technically it's possible to do. Many countries are doing, in Scandinavian countries and so on, when they have using these electronic possibilities, online elections. And if, let's say, in diaspora we have, some people say 7 million, 8 million, 6 million, I don't know how many of them. But even if not a 1 million, 500,000 people will participate and pay the taxes, in 500,000, we have to multiply, let's say, $3,000. It's big money. It's hundreds of millions of dollars. But the money must not go to government budget. It must be a separate and an account where the money must be used to support a diaspora Armenian relationship. I mean, supporting schools. Some schools now cannot survive. They need support. The same in Lebanon. You do not have the big community that used to have. I mean, this is better solution of than this Armenia fundraising and so with this $10 million. It will be at least hundreds of millions. And people will get something with this paying of this. They know they can cast their vote, they can influence on that. Also, I already said, they can be included in a list of parties. Let's say, and this we have suggested the government. I mean, the constitution must be changed in Armenia. I myself in favor of having this presidential system, not the prime minister and parliament, because parliamentarism is good in the countries where you have traditions, the possibilities. What we have in Armenia is not parliamentarism. It's one man, just one man who is deciding for everyone. Because Nikol Pashinyan is head of executive power. Yeah. He is head of also legislative power. Because he is head of party and the party is a majority in parliament. He controls parliaments as well. So there is no difference between them. I mean, legislative power and executive power. He controls the courts because he appoints these prosecutors, the judges, and so on. I mean, he controls everything. Everything, even in Saudi Arabia, the family controls, but one sheikh cannot control everything. In Armenia, just one sheikh controls everything. Because he has no counterbalance of his power. In a system when you have, as we used to have, separate elections for president and separate for parliament, they are totally independent of each other. It's another issue that executive power in Armenia has more leverage on the others, and also, but generally speaking, this gives a possibility they can criticize each other, they can fight each other, which is very important. You do not need unity with the governing system. You need unity with a nation, but you need this criticizing and fighting each other in the government. Otherwise, okay, he comes to parliament, speaks some foolish things, and the parliament, because the majority is his, votes for him, saying, okay, it's a brilliant ideas. Okay, what you want, it's, and so on. This is, and with this diaspora, is because you see, when people are paying money, voting, they are having more responsibility to that land. It's not just something symbolic, something emotional. It's real. This is the case. So it's our view. We have in more details in many aspects, but the idea is Armenia cannot survive without involving all resources in Armenia and in diaspora. Yes.
I know that I'm exhausting you, but I have two more questions. I'm sorry. I know that I exhaust you every time, and I take advantage of your patience. And like you said, also there is the issue of the repats who live in Armenia that suffer this. But I will go to the next two questions. Like you expected, Mr. Papian, I am sure that you always regret that you are right, but you are right, and you say that sadly you are right. As you warned over and over again, our government did a huge strategic mistake when they said that Artsakh belongs to Azerbaijan, and now they are filing a legal action, which might be our oblivion. It might strike the last nail in our coffin. What do you think are the dangers? Do you think that this lawsuit has a chance? How many years can it go? And how can we counterbalance this strategic mistake that our prime minister said that Azerbaijan, Artsakh is part of Azerbaijan? Is there a way out, legal way out? Please advise us, because I am very worried.
Yeah, it's really there is a basis to be worried, because actually Pashinyan officially announced that Karabakh is not Armenia. Armenia is just 29, 800 and so on. And also there are some decisions, legal decisions in the European Court of Human Rights and so on, that Armenia had effective control over Nagorno-Karabakh. And everybody knows that they were Armenians from Armenia as well in military service. Also, the final document that Shahrimanyan signed and dissolved Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, there are points saying that the military forces from Armenia must be withdrawn from Nagorno-Karabakh. I mean, we gave them all legal basis to fight us. What is the basis for their claims? It's here. You accepted that Nagorno-Karabakh is part of Azerbaijan. For 30 years, you exploited the resources there, water, soil, gold mines, and so on. So you have to compensate this. And they speak about billions and billions of dollars, up to 800 billions of dollars. But we do understand that even $5 or $10 billion, it's for Armenia, it's that verdict will be. But they do not doing this for money. The idea is to have the decision to verdict and then occupy Zangezur with copper, gold mines, and saying that, okay, we do not occupy, but because they need to legalize the aggression against Armenia. What they are doing, they are legalizing the aggression. The idea will be, we recognize Soviet borders, it's no problem. We signed peace treaty, it's also okay, good. But because you cannot pay the money, which is according to international decision, we'll take these territories, the mines, exploit them as you did. And maybe after 30 years, 50 years, when the calculation will show that we have paid the debt to us, we will withdraw our forces. This or what is doing. Some people say, okay, what the difference if there would be a decision will not pay? They also ignored the decision to open the corridor to, okay. But the problem is they do not want you to implement the decision to pay the money. They are finding an excuse to overrun your country. This is the problem. The only basis for us to refuse all these claims would be that, as I was speaking for many years, to prove in a court that Nagorno-Karabakh legally was part of Armenia with the decision of League of Nations from 1920, which means regardless, we had there our army, we used the mines, the souls of it's regardless of this, it's ours. It's part of Armenia, which means to make baseless their claims. This is the only way. Unfortunately, till now, the base is in a way that Azerbaijan, Karabakh was a separate country, separate entity. Nothing has to do with us. And everybody knows there is a case, court case, Chiragov against Armenia, where it's proved that Armenia controls Karabakh. Everybody knows. I mean, you cannot fool saying that there were no Armenians there. Okay, there were no Armenians there, but Yerablur. What is Yerablur? Who was fighting there? Why are these guys who are now laying in rest in Yerablur, who are from Yerevan, Echmiadzin, Gyumri, and so on, in every village, even in a small village in Armenia now, there is small Yerablur with 2 or 3 new graves. I mean, you cannot deny all these things. It's foolish thing that somebody can thinks that in a court they can deny that Armenia had nothing to do. The final nail was that Shahramanyan himself included that Armenian military forces must be withdrawn from Nagorno-Karabakh. It's just enough to say that, but there are a lot of proof of that. So they will come to our ideas, want or don't want to. They will come. The final, it will be as soon as it possible. It will be better for us. To that, we have to prove that Nagorno-Karabakh was part of Armenia in 1920, according to League of Nations decision. It was occupied by Russian Turkish forces, which is recognized in Azerbaijani documents of the so-called act, the document of restoration of Azerbaijani statehood, акт о восстановлении государства независимости Азербайджана. So they recognize that was an occupation Soviet period. So, and in 91 Soviet collapse, so we have to go back to the situation that which was before Soviet occupation, which means we have to see what international documents were telling about the title over their territory. Otherwise, we cannot prove. Otherwise, just ignoring that were no Armenians from Armenia in Nagorno-Karabakh, it's, I mean, useless thing to do. Yes.
If NDA comes to power, can it save us from this mess? Because we are in because Houston, we have a problem.
Yes, the problem is the main problem is Nikol Pashinyan. He did not understand anything in world politics. He did not know anything about Armenian-Turkish relations, about Armenian history, about diaspora, nothing. I mean, but he comes and speaks about the most difficult, complicated issues with this so easy saying, yeah, well, what genocide? I mean, historical Armenia, it's a problem, it's a burden for us. Historical Armenia, we have to genocide. I mean, it makes our lives harder. We have to just dismiss and erase from our memory all this. He's speaking in a easiest way. It's not the case. I mean, you cannot do this. It's not possible. I mean, there is a saying that geography defines in a large way the country's future and politics. The same the history defines, because history is reflection of your relations with your neighbors. It's not that if Turkey did genocide, killed Armenian people, and now they did not recognize, they are proud of this. If Erdogan goes to Baku and during this military parade said that the soul of Enver is flying over us and we have to finish what he has begun, you cannot have peace with these countries. I mean, you have to understand that if a person comes to kill you, you cannot have peace with him. The only thing you have to think about your defense, your protection. It's not the case that we want a war. Some people say NDA has these claims. It's a reason for war. No, it's not. Because they will find hundreds of excuses to go to fight. Nikol thinks that if we say that we do not have any territorial claims, they will not find an excuse to attack Armenia. Easily can be done. They would say, okay, you have to remove this map from your textbooks. You have to destroy that monument in Armenia. You have to put in a jail Arab Papian who speaks about something, and then, I mean, they will tell you to do so many things that you can't do finally. And okay, it will be an excuse saying that it will be done. They were already speaking that, and Pashinyan said that the monument to this nemesis action was the wrong thing to do. Okay, we have to prove, was it a genocide, was not it a genocide, because we do not have a list of people who were killed. Do you think that Japan has a list of atomic nuclear bomb attack in Nagasaki and Hiroshima? The victims, the list of victims? Nobody has. I mean, they know generally that 70,000 people were killed in one city and 144,000 in another. It's something in general. Frankly speaking, nobody knows. Just these people were missing, and so, but how you can find the names? How you can, and they cannot. We're asking them to present us the list of casualties during 44-day war, which happened some years ago. First of all, we need to know the names, because how to support, how to organize many things, and also real to know, because they say that 300,000, around 4,000 people were killed. Some others say that over 7,000 were killed. Okay, we don't know the exact numbers. Okay, put together the list, and people, they will look and say that my son names is missing from this list, or you have 3 times the same guy in that list, and so on. It's very important. I mean, Hushamatyan, a memory book, at least we have to have. For us, for future, for history, for our generations. The people were killed, the young guys were killed. At least we have to have their, I don't know, names somewhere. I have seen in Canada, in Parliament, a big book, handwritten with nice things there, the list of casualties of Canada during World War I. I mean, who was killed? The first guy, second, and no, the first guy who was killed on Canadian side was an Armenian from an Erzurum. I mean, this is also the things that Mahai Chakatagi, Armenian from Erzurum. The same happened in Ukraine. The first casualty was an Armenian Nigoyan, and so on. I mean, why people respect their soldiers who gave their life? We have to have that. This the book of memory at least. They don't want to do this, but they want to have the names of people from Ottoman Empire, where nobody even at that time knew how many people were living in a village, not the names, even the numbers. Because when you see it's more, relatively speaking, here, there are 400 houses. I mean, 400 families in that village. What was the number of the, family members? Nobody knows. 5 children, 10 children, many families totally are destroyed. Many villages are totally destroyed. Nobody survived to tell. What means the name? I know a guy from Canada whose family name is Terzian. But it's not the real family name. But because his grandfather survived, and nobody remembered the family name and said Terzi Esinchitagana, and he became Terzian. I know there is a famous Canadian scholar and poet, Alan Whitehall. His grandmother is Armenian. Grandmother's name is Sirun. But nobody knows what was that girl's name and family name in the country. Just It was a nice girl. She was in orphanage, was called Sirun, and she became Sirun. So, I mean, this why I'm going into details, because they are destroying not only our country, they are destroying our souls, our memory. and the nation cannot survive without roots, without these memories. Hrant Matenovosyan has in the Metzamor saying, see, the cow is there. Yesterday, his cow was killed. Ասма, մարդու կովի միջև տարբերությունն է, որ մարդը հիշողություն ունի. What the difference between animal and human being? It's a memory. Because without a memory, and memory, intergenerational memory, not only yours, because the animal also has a memory, but you remember and respect not only what you have seen, but what your grandparents have seen. This is important. Otherwise, in this case, I do not understand why we have, if Armenia will be not Armenian state, just a place to live, what's the reason to stay in Armenia? For what? What's the reason? If I will not be an Armenian in Armenia, just a Turkish guy, just a place to live, I know that there are many other countries where I can live better, much better. But I'm trying to live in my homeland. But they're trying to make all us, even living in our country, living in exile, because they are removing all these pillars of existence of our society. They are destroying all these things. So much.
Mr. Papian, I have a last question. Our Prime Minister, who is the head of our armed forces, national armed forces, I have never seen a leader of a country who comes and urges his citizens to surrender part of its villages. This is very strange, but apparently what he warned us, he was urging us to surrender and give our lands, and he was warning us that if we do not do this 3 or 4 days later, we will have war. Apparently, they have, thank God, 2 weeks have passed, but there is no war. How can a leader of a country who have done all this and promised us of a war, and it did not come true, how can he survive still being in the office? This is my last question. I think this is the first time maybe in history.
You see, because first of all, people in Armenia, as in diaspora as well, they do not know all these details. They do not follow what he's saying. He's telling people, I promise you peace and will bring you peace. I will not give any inch of Armenian territory to others. And people believe him. In reality, he names Armenian territories as territory of Azerbaijan and Turkey and say, I'm not. When he speaks about Soviet territory of Armenia, and when you ask him, what about the Soviet territory of Armenia that are occupied by Azeri forces, will they return this land? He said, no, it's another issue. No, it's no, we have to care. I already mentioned Nikol Pashinyan is pursuing Turkish agenda. They, in the beginning of 19th, told us there are three conditions: Karabakh to Azerbaijan, total denial of genocide, not pursuing recognition, not total denial, and no claims, territorial or material claims against Turkey. He's doing all these things here. But we hope that in near future, I mean within months, because people are, I mean, we can feel that we are close to boiling situation, because you can find anyone who is satisfied of this situation except policemen, because they are paid. And today you also speak to them saying that their salaries will be again and again increased. His I mean, we're a police state. Never, even during this Kocharian, Del Petrosian, Sarkisian, the number and salaries were not so high for police, and they never were so brutal as today. Today, they beat a guy and just for a word. He confronted a member of parliament. He named him, give some names, instead of just doing according to the law, just taking a court and so on. And this member of Nicole's party hit him. The case was opened against the guy, but not against the member of his party. And the guy was taken to police. On the road to police, the police left him alone. The other groups in mass came and beat him, severely beat him. And there are some other details that we're waiting to see is it proof or not. I mean, they behaved much worse than was doing Serge Sarkisian's and Kocharian's police. Armenian police never was so brutal as now here, because they are paid the biggest money. I mean, and they are supporting the dictator. Actually, we have dictatorship in Armenia, one-man dictatorship, even it's not one party. During Soviet time, we had one party. Well, now we have one man. And because he's afraid of everything, he's spending huge money on police, not on army, on his propaganda. But if people, as in Georgia, we can see in Georgia, in Tbilisi, will come out in tens and 10,000, no police can control that situation. And with peaceful pressure, we can make him to resign, and we'll have a temporary government, and the elections will be held within several months. New elections, with the possibilities, equal possibilities for everyone. Yes. So
Mr.
much.
Papian, I thank you very much. I salute you. I salute your spirit, national spirit that you have. You have tolerated to give me 2 hours of interview. This is very salutable. I greet and salute your spirit, national spirit. I want to salute the national movement, the National Democratic Alliance, and like I said, everybody might not agree on everything that the NDA does, but no national patriotic can ever dare or have the audacity to deny that what they say, these people, their national project, their national speech, their political speech and political project, no one must have any audacity to deny that what they're saying on national level, on strategic level, you have to agree with them 100%. Thank you, Mr. Papian.
Thank you.
If you have anything to close, please go ahead. A closing statement.
Okay, we have to fight. We have to keep our hope alive, and I'm sure that in near future there will be very positive changes in Armenia, which will bring another positive changes in total Armenian life, including diaspora.
Godspeed, Mr. Papian. Thank you. You have my spiritual and soul support. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.